are going to talk about loose leash go. I'm mostly going to talk about this. Maybe I'll be able to show the exercise on camera, but usually it's impossible to get the puppy to pull on camera, so I can't show you what to do when your puppy pulls. That being said, I can tell you what to do when your puppy pulls. So loose leash go is a set of rules that will, if you stick to them strictly, will eventually teach your puppy to not pull on leash. The rules are quite simple. Loose leash is what we want, so when the leash is loose, the puppy is rewarded by getting to move forward, getting to go, loose leash go. And when the leash gets tight, we take away that privilege of getting to move forward by doing one of three things. We can either stop, which is the most classic response. We could slow down to a crawl, or my favorite, we can turn around and go in the opposite direction. And like I said, basically the idea here is that if your puppy learns that pulling doesn't get them what they want, then they will eventually stop doing it. However, we need to be real careful with this, because if we only sometimes stop when the leash gets tight, or sometimes slow down or turn around, whatever the heck, and sometimes pulling does work for the puppy. Sometimes the puppy pulls and they are allowed to move forward. They aren't going to learn to not pull, they're going to learn to pull more. So you can't do half and half with this exercise. You need to be completely strict with it, which creates a bit of an issue because it is near impossible, especially in Chicago, to stop every time your puppy pulls you, because if you did, you would never get anywhere. There are two solutions I have for this. One is the slow down method. So when your puppy pulls, instead of stopping, you are going to slow down considerably until the leash is loose, at which point you can move forward quickly. But my favorite method is the working gear and adventure gear method. So the idea behind the working gear and adventure gear method is there are two places that you regularly attach your puppy's leash to their body. Perhaps the collar, front clip, back clip, whatever have you. One is going to be deemed your working gear, and one is going to be deemed your adventure gear. When your puppy is attached to their working gear, you must adhere to the rules of loose leash walking strictly. Every time the leash gets tight, you have to respond either by stopping, slowing down, or turning around and going in the opposite direction. Then for all the times that that is not practical for you, you can take the leash off of your puppy's working gear and switch it to their adventure gear. On their adventure gear, your puppy is allowed to pull and move forward, but it won't damage the work you've done on your working gear, because the sensation of the tight leash, the pulling sensation, will be coming from a completely different part of their body. It will feel completely different, and they won't associate. So, yes, working gear is for training loose leash walking. Adventure gear is for when you don't have time to practice loose leash walking. You can let your puppy pull on their adventure gear. It won't damage the learning they've done on their working gear, because the pull, the sensation of a tight leash, is coming from somewhere entirely different on their body. They won't make the connection. So I'm going to try and get the pulling behavior. It's hard to get in a classroom because the classroom is small, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down treats in front of the camera. This is not the putting down treats as a way to get your puppy to pull. This is not something I want you to do at home. That's not a training technique. That is a filming technique on my part. That's just me trying to elicit the bad behavior solely so that you guys can see what I do when the pulling behavior happens. Not so that she can see what happens when the pulling happens. It isn't a training trick, it is a video trick. Good, so I have quite a few pieces of chicken here. I'm gonna put them down in front. We're gonna start all the way over here. Ready? Let's go. Whoops, this way. Good girl. Now if I was on a sidewalk, I'd keep going that way until she started pulling in that direction. And I would say, whoops, this way, and start going in that direction. Good girl. Whoops, this way. Good girl. Good job. Okay, let's try again. Whoops, this way. Good girl. Okay, let's try again. Whoops, this way. Good girl. Good job, let's try again. We're gonna walk a little bit faster. There we go. Good, so the method I used was the turnaround method. Yeah, that's pretty much it.